Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to the Pipeline Podcast, number 110. I'm your host today, Darren McClymans. Joining me for today's very special episode, I have Tanner. Tanner, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How about you?
I am doing very good. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we've been mutuals on Twitter for quite a long time now. I've seen your posts over the years. I've seen you're a huge fan of Disney and a lot of other nerdy kind of stuff. So it's great to finally jump on here, have a conversation. And yeah, I think this is gonna be a really fun one.
I hope so too.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm kind of dubbing my Halloween episode. Last year for Halloween, we very similar kind of format. I just talked about like just villains in general. It was like a very general villain discussion, and like the closer it kind of got, I was like, maybe I could do that again. But I have such a love for the genre that is Disney villains. Like I feel like Disney villains is almost like a franchise of their own at this point. Like I feel like in terms of like the merchandise at Disney and kind of how they market themselves, like those very early like 2000s, like the like 90s 2000s were like this entire brand to themselves, which is I think is kind of interesting.
There's so many iconic characters for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like there was like a trend, and people may agree with this or not, but there was a trend once Puss in Boots came out where like everyone was like, I think DreamWorks has better villains than Disney, and I think they have some really good ones, but I feel like Disney is so iconic in their own realm. Like I feel like they're in this whole other category in terms of villains. Like I almost feel like when you think of fictional villains at this point, Disney, a large catalog of villains are kind of the first couple you start to think of.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm very curious later on in today's episode to talk about these individual things that we've chosen. We're gonna get this episode started though. Tanner, I like to start the show by asking my guests what they've been enjoying lately. I like asking if there's any movies, TV shows, video games, comics, any of the sorts that they've been really enjoying consuming lately. Is there any movies or anything that you'd like to shout out?
There's a lot going on right now. I'm I'm currently reading the new Deadpool run that Marvel's putting out. It's
Sure.
really good so far. I have to catch up. I've been away from my comic shop for too long, but I'm hopefully going to catch up this weekend. There should be a new issue coming out next month, so I'm looking forward to that. I just watched the new Venom movie last night, and that was pretty fun.
How was it?
It was good. It was probably my least favorite of the trilogy, but it was still pretty good. I'm gonna see it again sometime just to really like hone in on what I think of it. And Superman and Lois is going on. It's one of my favorites, so I definitely want to shout out that as much as I can.
Absolutely, yeah. That's been the top of my mind. As of recent.
It won't leave my head.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know how much into like the greater Arrowverse you were into, but like it is kind of like the end of an era in terms.
I know. I started watching the Arrowverse with the Flash. So I watched all of the Flash.
Gotcha.
With that until it ended, and then I watched Superman Lois. I think I watched the first season of Supergirl and the first like two of Legends. And then I would watch all the crossovers because they're the crossovers.
Yeah, no, it's like it was a very sad feeling like that first episode where it's like, oh my gosh, like this fandom is back, and it's like, oh, but one last time, like this is it actually for everything. So
things seem to be ending this year because you've got the Venom movie is the last one, and then the what was it, Deadpool and Wolverine ended the Fox Marvel era. It's like a lot is ending this year.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's kind of a trend. I feel like there's a lot of ending of eras and starting of new ones recently. Like I feel like the Arrowverse is ending this year, but Arrowverse is ending this year, but the DCU is starting at the end of the year. So kind of have that where it's like the Fox universe is ending this year,
but then the mutants are coming into the MCU.
Yeah, and also just Secret Wars is kind of like their potential reboot time if they want. Like for like recast who you want, bring in who you want, start kind of fresh. So
yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going to look after Secret Wars.
Even Star Wars, I feel like, is in a spot where they're kind of like rebranding and repolishing their ongoing stuff. Like it feels like they're slightly moving. Well, I guess they're not moving away from Skywalker stuff because they have the Rey stuff coming. But it feels like a new era of Star Wars is about to begin. What, next year? Year after that? Whatever.
Yeah, they've got.
At this point.
I know that they're doing that Mandalorian movie, and that seems to be wrapping up those things. So I'm wondering where they're going from there.
Right. Yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, I've been with you. I've watched Sumo. It's been top of my mind. I don't know if you've seen the show. I just finished The Owl House this past week.
I haven't, but I've been meaning to get around to it.
Yeah, I started that like about a year ago. I stopped because when I finished Gravity Falls, I was like, okay, I'm on a, that's like the spiritual successor of Gravity Falls.
Oh, that's a villain I should have thought of. That's one of my favorite villains. I'm putting him on my list right now.
Write him down.
Write that down, Patrick. Write that down.
But yeah, no, like I heard, it has a lot of the similar team. It's like Alex Hirsch's wife was like the main showrunner on that show.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm super excited. And like it started out of like, okay, this show is pretty fun. And then season 2 hit, and it's like, oh no, this is like my new favorite thing. I might even like it now slightly more than Gravity Falls, which I did not expect going into it.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's sad that Disney didn't want it. Like it got canceled after the second season. It's like, why Disney? Why?
They gotta stop doing that.
they really do. They really do. But yeah, no, this was it's been a fun week for me, just kind of watching various different things, and yeah, we're gonna hop into some news stories here. It was a big week for Disney. I have like 4 Disney newish like news stories ish. They put out a lot. Saying New York Comic Con was the other day. Not too much to come out of that. I want to pull up this first thing here though, because I do think this is the most interesting news of the week. I was not expecting from Disney.
Right, yeah.
Paul King is set to direct a Prince Charming movie. Chris Hemsworth is rumored to be involved. Okay, so like we're in this era of Disney kind of rebooting, doing these like live action adaptations of all these things. I like some of them. I don't like others. Like it's
same here.
It's a very mixed bag for me. This came across my feed. I was very confused when I saw it. What's your just like overall take on this? Like, how are you feeling about a potential Prince Charming movie?
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere. I didn't see that one. That's not on my bingo card. At first, I was confused because they didn't mention it being live action. At first, I'm like, oh, are they going to finally do something animated again? Yeah. And then later on, it came out that it's going to be live action. I'm like, oh, okay. Chris Hemsworth, though, I like Chris Hemsworth. He's a good comedic actor. So if they can lean into that, because I haven't seen the movie, but I know in like one of the Cinderella sequels, they gave Prince Charming a personality. And if they could, if they go with that route, I can see Chris Hemsworth doing well. But I don't know if I'm gonna go to the theater to watch a Prince Charming movie.
Yeah, I definitely think out of every live action thing they've announced, this is the one where I'm like, oh, okay, that seems like a very left field direction to go. And I think like I kind of have 2 kind of takes on it. Like one, this is technically what I've been asking for. Like I would much rather them do new takes on these characters, pick certain characters out of Disney's catalog to tell their story instead of just making the same movie again.
The same movie again, yeah.
Like that's I want more. Good. Sorry.
That's why I liked Christopher Robin so much. If you've seen that one, that was like it was like a sequel to like the animated one, and it was exploring new themes with like growing up and things like that. And I really liked that one because it wasn't just Winnie the Pooh again.
Right, no, 100%. Like, I think Maleficent, Cruella, even, like, the new Mufasa movie they're doing, we don't know if that's good or not yet, but, like, that's what I want them to do more of. Just being like, okay, yes, we're doing IP-type movies, but it's a story.
At least it's something new.
Yes, absolutely. So that, I'm like, okay, I like the direction. On the other note, there are so many other Disney characters I would love for them to, like, adapt.
Yeah.
I don't know what you
Prince
do with
Charming's
Prince Charming.
really it, yeah.
Like, I almost do wonder, though, if maybe that's the point, where it's like, Prince Charming is known for not, at least in the original, not having a personality. So maybe the idea
they could
is
try
like...
and flesh him out more.
Like, yeah, maybe the idea is like, we can morph this character into really whatever we want. Like, we can kind of do whatever we want with this guy. And also, I thought it was interesting. They also said that it's not even directly connected to the Cinderella character itself. Like they're kind of doing their own thing with the character, which is like
Interesting.
Okay, so it's like you almost wonder, okay, is it going to even be Prince Charming at the point, or is it just kind of be an
Just
original
kind of
prank
its
that
own
they
thing.
adapt?
I'm also like it also surprised me that it's not connected to their previous live action Cinderella movie because it's not the same actor.
No.
I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure what they're going for. Maybe I'll see it if the trailer looks good, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely very fascinated with it. I think the thing that did come to mind though is like there's a not controversy, but people have talked about the age of Chris Hemsworth. Not typically the age of Prince Charming, right? Prince Charming's in his 20s, Chris Hemsworth's in his late 40s at this point. So
it's true.
I've almost wondered if they're going to go with like almost like a what if scenario with this one. Like it crossed my mind where like, okay, what if this is a scenario where he doesn't find the like glass slipper? Like what if he doesn't find Cinderella, he doesn't find his true love, and this is a story about like an older Prince Charming who's sad and single and alone in his castle or something. It's almost like this comedic boy child kind of movie. Like I could maybe see that if that's the direction.
A gritty Logan style Prince Charming movie. Kill him off at the end.
Find her and just
we'll find her. Dies at the end.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. James in the comments just out of the way just saying Captain Hook. I assume that's your favorite Disney villain, and that's a good choice. I almost put Captain Hook on my list. I do.
That's
really
a good one. I love Peter Pan. I have a soft spot for that one.
I like Captain Hook more than Peter Pan. If I'm
really?
I do think
he's very entertaining.
He's a very fun villain. Absolutely. So yeah, also just like one final thing here, it is Paul King, which that's the thing that is making me slightly more excited because that's the director of Paddington and Wonka.
Oh, Paddington and Wonka. Yeah, those are good ones.
He's a really good director. They also just announced Wonka too, that he's
I did see that. That's really interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah,
I like the first one a lot.
Yeah, me too. Like so that means he's set to do Wonka 2 and Prince Charming. So he's working. I'm glad for him. I love the Paddington movies. I loved Wonka. I assume he'll do good on both, hopefully. If Disney lets him direct, because I have seen the like, in a lot of these live action movies, it feels like Disney kind of prohibits their directors. It's like, well, like Jon Favreau in Lion King to me felt like, oh, that wasn't really Jon Favreau. That was just a head or whatever. Like there's a big difference between I feel like what he did in Jungle Book and what he did in Lion King.
Jungle Book I really liked, and in Lion King I didn't. So I think like his Jungle Book was earlier, so they kind of let him do more of his own thing with that one before they tried to really like lock down on it. Absolutely.
All right, we have a couple Marvel things that come out this week. There's a bunch of kind of bigger Marvel news I want to talk about. Now you're a big Spider-Man fan, right?
Absolutely
love your little Porky Pig, or not Porky Pig, Spider-Ham profile picture there. There's been a lot of big rumor and Spider-Man stuff these last couple months. It seems like they've been trying to move forward with something. We've heard scripts, we've heard rumored plot details.
So many things just everywhere, all different things coming out.
And Tom Holland did officially confirm that Spider-Man 4 will start filming next summer. He was also saying that like this Spider-Man movie will be different than any other Spider-Man movie he's done so far. What's been your kind of take on just Spider-Man 4 as a whole, like the whole situation, all the rumors, all the kind of things we've been hearing?
So I've been trying to just like not believe any of the rumors because there's so many conflicting things, and like all of the leaks and stuff kind of ruined my first viewing of No Way Home because it's like I was just watching it and everything that had said was going to happen was happening, and I'm like, well, this is just annoying because it's like I wanted to see this stuff. I would have freaked out seeing Andrew Garfield if I hadn't already known it was happening. So I try to just ignore anything and just like try and focus on what's actually happening when it happens. So I have my hopes and stuff for what the movie will be. And obviously I'm kind of starting to get to the point where I'm just open to whatever they want to do. Because it's like I want it to be grounded street level. I want there to be like mob bosses and the Kingpin and stuff like that, because I think that'd be really cool. But also it's like, if you got to get one more out of your system with the multiverse, I guess might as well do it now, and then we can get to the real stuff later. Because he said, I think recently in an interview, that he wants to do is like many more Spider-Man movies, as long as they're doing it for the right reasons. So, I mean, I'm sure whatever they're going to do is going to be good. It's cool to hear that Tom actually has more of like input on what they're doing now, where he can actually say no to things. So, and like, he really loves this character, and I can tell based on the way he talks about it that he really understands this character. So whatever they wind up doing with this character, I'm sure is going to be good.
Yeah, I do think I've kind of gone through that like grieving period a little bit, because I have kind of accepted we're probably not getting that Daredevil Kingpin grounded story that everyone kind of wanted. I was very much looking forward to kind of like where they ended the last movie. I thought was like the perfect setup for
just a solid ending, really good.
Yes. Probably one of my favorite like MCU endings, if I'm
definitely like, even though it's not like the best swinging, it's probably my favorite of the final swings, just because what it means for the character, and that costume is, I hope that they actually keep it.
Yeah, I think at this point I am just kind of hoping for some kind of balance of those two things. Like what, like the main rumor right now is like what Noel is like the villain of the movie or whatever. And I think if they do that, if that is the case, like maybe find some sort of balance between the grounded and the multiverse. Like I don't necessarily think they have to be one off of each other. Like I think you can potentially have multiverse and a grounded story for Peter. Like I think you can technically have both if done well enough. I'm curious to see how they go about it. Thoughts on like Zendaya seemingly being back for it as well, because I know that was a big kind of point of controversy for many people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not personally a fan of that idea. Nothing against Zendaya or anything. I love their relationship, but it's like he shouldn't really have anything right now. And I'm just a little bit worried that they're going to get them back together immediately, because of how much everybody likes seeing them together in real life. I'm kind of hoping for like, if she is in it, that they don't really interact, and it's more of like in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he would be watching over her. But then that doesn't really make sense because she's supposed to be in Boston. Maybe she's back for the summer or something. I don't know when it takes place yet. It is filming in January, I believe, or not January. Summer. It's summer.
Summer, yeah.
Right. So that would make sense to make it another summer movie. But yeah, I'm whatever they do, I'm just hoping they don't resolve the ending right away, because if she remembers immediately, then that kind of hurts the satisfaction of the ending of the first one or the third one. But that's kind of where I stand on it right now. I also want them to do Black Cat.
Black Cat would be nice. I would like to finally get Black Cat at some point. I think like I've spoken on this before. Like when we were first hearing like today, I was like, no, keep her out. Like leave her for five.
Like, bring her back eventually, but like
But also like I've heard the other side of the argument where it's like, well, what you could do is finally develop Zendaya as her own kind of individual character. Like you can have her be part of the cast of characters while not being a part of Peter's life, or kind of doing her own thing on the side, and then by the end they can kind of reconnect as a whatever, or even as a supporting character, not knowing who Peter Parker is, just kind of like someone kind of in the background throughout the movie or whatever.
It could be interesting if I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I'm saying it could be kind of interesting if like Happy still remembered Spider-Man but not Peter. It'd be interesting if she had the same sort of thing. Where if they wanted to do something where like she doesn't remember who Peter is, but she remembers something about knowing Spider-Man. I don't know, that could be something. But then again, she did meet Peter before Spider-Man, so I don't really know how that would work.
Right. Oh yeah, it's always very confusing how exactly that spell works. Where it's like, I feel like fundamentally there's some issues there that don't completely make sense. But
I can ignore that when I'm watching the movie though, because it still hits hard.
Absolutely. Hello, Chainsaw. How's it going, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Let's move on to this next one, because this next one's this is a big one. We've been waiting for this one, I think, for a while now. Upcoming Mahershala Ali Blade film has been delayed indefinitely at Marvel Studios.
Yeah, that one. There's a lot going on with that movie, and by a lot I mean not a lot.
Not a lot at all. No. Listen, Tanner. I cannot tell you how many times we've talked about Blade updates on the show.
Oh my god, I
Every
can't even imagine.
every 2 months, I feel like there's like, well, they lost a writer. Oh, they lost a director. He's not
Yeah.
happy with the script. He's not whatever. I said the last time this happened, all the way back like Guardians 3, like we were talking, like I talked about it, where it's like, yeah, when are they going to get this thing? Like I'm tired of talking about it, and that was like 2 years ago at this point. Like it's
No, but
but like
Guardians 3 is already 2 years old.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy. But I last time I talked about this, I had said I think it's time maybe they pull the brakes on Blade, maybe take it off the schedule and reevaluate for another time. What's your take on this? How are you feeling with the lack of updates on Blade?
I don't even know how to feel right now, because like I was really excited for this character to be coming into the MCU, because
Right.
it's just he's such a cool character, but then they keep kind of fumbling it. I don't know. I feel like I'm glad that they're delaying it instead of just pushing it forward, because
Yeah.
if I would rather they take their time to try and get it right than just push something crappy out sooner just to get it out there.
Right.
But yeah, they almost do need to just like go back to square one, start over, keep the actor obviously, but start back from square one and just figure out why it's not working, and then try and build it up from there. Because I feel like a Blade movie could be really cool. Like, yeah. I mean, they've done it before, but still.
Yeah, I think they kind of put themselves in a little bit of a corner. I think some of it's their fault, some of it's not. Like, obviously, it was announced right after COVID. Like, it was like the very start of COVID, it was announced. So they were dealing with COVID. They were dealing with the strikes. They obviously had to deal with the Jonathan Majors, like, reshifting the entire,
that was something.
Like, yeah, it was an entirely different plan. And to me, it seems very clear Blade no longer fits. It may have fit the plan a couple years ago, right? Like, it may have fit their lineup. But it feels like to me right now they're going to be focusing very heavily, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, very heavily on the setting up Doomsday. Like, getting to Doomsday, getting to Secret Wars, trying to wrap up these characters that need to be wrapped up before then. So, like, we're going to be talking about some spots in the Marvel lineup and here quickly. But, like, I could see them throwing in a Thor. I could see them trying to get some of these characters that they want to wrap up before the big event. So if they want to recast, if they want to kind of, put characters in different places post Secret Wars, they can. And to me, I think Blade almost maybe fits better after the Secret Wars lineup. When you're putting in, Fantastic Four 2 and X-Men and, Young Avengers and all of these new faces, I think he might fit in that lineup a little bit better. I just feel bad for Mahershala.
Yeah, because this is something he's really wanted to do.
James said, move Blade to the Mutant Saga or the one after. They have mentioned vampires in the MCU, so no rush. Yeah, the one after would be a long time away. But I agree. I think the Mutant Saga would fit best for him at the moment. But here's also the thing. If they're expecting Mahershala to be Blade for the next, at least, I would assume 3 or 4 movies, because that's kind of how Marvel works, right? They like trilogies, they like the crossover movies and stuff like that. Mahershala is 50. I just found that out last night. He's 50 years old. That's only 10 years younger than Wesley Snipes, which is kind of crazy to think about.
That is crazy. They should do this sooner then.
Yeah, do you think there's any chance they recast, or do you think they stick it with him?
I don't think so, because he was the one, if I'm not mistaken, to come up to Marvel with the idea.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that they're going to keep him.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even recast Kang, like...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, they're not opposed to recast, I guess. But, like... I don't know. I hope not, because I do want him to keep that role. I think
me too.
Good job. I am just worried about age. Although, like... Yeah, because he's the same age as, like, Hugh Jackman, and we're already talking Hugh Jackman, like, trying to get someone younger for him. So, I don't know. Hot take, we romanticize the Blade movies. Are you a fan of, like, the old Blade movies?
I actually haven't seen them. I've
Okay.
been meaning to get around to it. I'll probably watch them this year, at least the first one,
Mhm.
because Halloween and stuff. But the only movie I've seen Blade in is Deadpool, as of right now. Anyway,
I am unfortunately in that same spot because
yeah,
like I was fully intended on it, and then they announced the like Blade movie. I was like, oh cool, I'll watch them when the new one's about to release,
and
and
then
they
it never
won't release
released.
it. So I'm like, I've been waiting, and now this is all. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch them now. I'm just gonna like rip the
Yeah,
band-aid
just gotta
off.
find time and watch it
Yeah,
again.
absolutely. One final thing into this, like they've been rumored to do some kind of Midnight Sun project within the
Mhm.
MCU that's been rumored for a while. It has crossed my mind if they just introduce Blade via Midnight Suns and then they like almost backdoor pilot it, where it's like, okay, we introduce him in this project and then he gets his own project later on once people kind of already know him and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Do you think that's an all possibility? Do you think that Midnight Suns has any chance of kind of doing something?
That could be, depending on when it would come out. It's also interesting because they kind of already introduced Blade, because he was the post-credit scene for Eternals. Like, he didn't show up on screen, but that was his voice. I googled it afterwards and freaked out about it. Uh,
Right.
so I'm wondering, yeah, because they could try and backdoor it. I could see that working out if they depending on how early they put that into development,
Right.
because so far Blade's been in development hell. So I don't know how long it would take them to get a Midnight Suns thing going.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I kept seeing rumors for that project, rumors for that project. People
Yeah,
forget it's not like a confirmed thing. Like no one at Marvel ever
yeah,
said anything about that project. It's just all these scoopers and leakers. But I was
yeah,
seeing
for
more
sure.
for that than Blade itself. So like at some point I'm like, why don't you just do that? Like throw in Moon Knight, throw in the throw in Moon Knight. You can throw in like your Ghost Rider. You can throw in
Yeah.
the people from like Werewolf by Night. Like you can throw in a bunch of those kind of creepy crawly characters that you have.
Mhm.
People like team ups. Like people love
Yeah.
those kind of things. People really love Deadpool being like the rated R, so I feel like that would bring in an
Mhm.
audience. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's crazy. The
um,
first time Marvel does a rated R movie, it makes over $1 billion in the box office and becomes the highest grossing one.
yeah, I do hope they don't learn the wrong lesson from that. Like I
Yeah,
don't
I
want them
hope.
to be like, oh, people want this, so all of them are that now. Where it's like, whoa, like maybe
Yeah, it works
like
for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I don't think I want a Spider-Man movie to be rated R. That's got to be accessible to kids.
absolutely. I
Mhm.
think, and like, yeah, not to get way off track, but like I said,
Mhm.
going into Deadpool and Wolverine, I was concerned because they were like it's as big as like Infinity War and Endgame. It's going to be
Yeah.
so consequential to the MCU. I didn't like that because I was like, oh,
Mhm.
what about all the kids that aren't going to
Yeah.
understand, the big events because it's in a rated R movie? Like that was one thing I like. I think anything rated R should be kind of
Contained, yeah.
self-contained to its own little thing for not everyone, because my mom loves the MCU. She's not
Yeah.
watching Deadpool. Like
Yeah.
that's just so.
It's just
Yeah,
funny
I'm
how that
glad
was
they
like a straight up lie, because it like there's one scene in the MCU. It's just a scene with Happy at the beginning, and that's it.
right, right. Like I think the ending, like I think where we leave those characters are going to be important because I think they're
Yeah.
going to pop back up, but they'll just
Yeah.
explain it in the next project. I think. Like I
Yeah,
don't
they
think
always
it's a
they
big deal.
always do a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. And our last one, I do think this was kind of interesting. So they gave us new dates for three 2023 movie or three 2028 Marvel
Yeah.
movies. And I pulled up both of these things because we don't know the dates for 2026, 2027, and 2028. And I did think it'd be kind of fun to just throw out some of our theories for what we think these dates would be. I already talked about this one the first, back in whatever, beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And now we have three more dates. And I was like, well, even more spots to guess on, I guess.
Oh man, yeah.
Do you have any? I mean, let's just start with 2026. Those February 13th and the November 6th. Are there anything you could guess would be in those dates? Because those aren't that far off. Like whatever these
Yeah.
are, they got to start filming soon.
Hmm. I could see them doing another Black Panther movie, honestly.
Mm,
Because after where they left off the most recent one with Shuri, there's a lot they could
yeah,
do with that character. I could see that taking the February slot if they want to get one more in,
sure.
unless they want to do like another, I don't know. Um, it's hard to guess these sort of
Right.
things. And then after Doomsday and before Secret Wars is one I have no idea, because it's like that could be anything. Because like when between Infinity War and Endgame, nobody was expecting like Ant-Man and the Wasp to get a movie. So it depends on if they're gonna do something like if they're gonna do something taking place before it or actually in between, which I think would be cool to do something actually in between.
Yeah.
And none of these are going to be Spider-Man, I don't think, just because they have to do that with Sony. That's a Sony decision at the end of the day. What would be there? I could see them doing another Thor movie at some point, even though the last one didn't do so well. Just like as a way to try and reinvent the character yet again.
Right.
And I have a feeling he could be important to these ones because he'll probably die in one of them, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
I want one of these to be a Hulk movie. I really do.
That'd be so good.
I would kill for a Hulk movie.
Yeah. I think one of those 26 spots, I'll be honest, I think it's Doctor Strange 3. I think one of them is Doctor Strange.
I didn't even think about Doctor Strange 3. That's gotta be.
I'm thinking like, I think that'd be a great actually in between.
I could see that, yeah, the November 6th one, I could totally see that.
I think that would fit very well, like the whole cosmic story of it all. Like I could definitely see that. Definitely. And then I think that February is going to have to be someone that they want to wrap up before Secret Wars, like someone that they just or it will set up Doomsday and Secret Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could see Thor 5 if they want to give Chris Hemsworth his flowers one last time before the next Avengers movies. I could see Black Panther. I wouldn't be completely shocked if they just recently announced Black Panther or something.
Yeah.
I want Armored Wars to happen so bad.
Oh my god, yeah. There was an update about that actually recently. Like somebody was talking about it. Like one of the writers I think was talking about the decision to turn it into a movie. Yeah, so it's like it's still happening. So I'm hoping. I
really hope so. I think
that was one of my most anticipated ones.
Yeah, I think honestly, if it is still happening, I say that's that February date. And then maybe Doctor Strange for November.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would be a good one to get out before everything, actually.
And like the Robert Downey thing or not, I'm still not thrilled about it. But like,
me neither.
Rhodey would be very important to that movie. I think
he would be. Rhodey, yeah.
Like I think the whole plot of that movie could change now. Like if the whole idea is like, someone taking over the suit of armor that Tony left, it would make sense if that was just like Downey's Doom, right? Like who else would take him? But
that would be a little expensive for that, because he's bringing in a lot for just those Avengers movies. I can't see his Doom sticking around.
Yeah, that's true. But also, like, I feel like that's like a $1 billion movie. Like, you throw him in like a Rhodey movie, I feel like
that's true. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. and Don Cheadle back together would be pretty big.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2026. That's our predictions there. Then we have 2020, and then we have 2027, which obviously we have Secret Wars as the first movie of the year, which is crazy. That's the first one.
That is actually insane.
So that's May 7th, and obviously these dates can change. They always kind of get moved
for sure. They always change,
right? But the next one is 2 months after Secret Wars, which is what they did with
Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, Far From Home.
Yeah, it was Far From Home.
I assume Secret Wars will still be in the cinemas when this movie comes out, which is why I hope they push it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do we think these two dates are? Because these are wild cards, man. Like these could really be. This is part of probably the new universe they set up with Secret Wars.
I definitely don't think it will be, but it would be absolutely insane. Like James said, if it was X-Men. Because imagine having an X-Men movie and an Avengers movie in theaters at the same time. Like that would be, and both like Marvel Studios, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Let me think though. Like if they didn't do Black Panther before, I think it might be after. Because I feel like that one is one that they're gonna want to like set up the new status quo with. But then it could be something totally out there that we have no idea. They could also do another Deadpool. I know it would probably be too soon, but I want them to do another Deadpool. But that's just because I'm a Deadpool fan.
Yeah.
First and a human second. But I could see them doing X-Men. I could see them doing another Fantastic Four maybe, because that's going to be... I already have a lot of faith in that one.
I do.
What else? I'm going to try and think of a totally wild out there one that nobody would expect.
Okay.
Because then if I'm right, then that's awesome. And if I'm wrong, it was a wild shot anyway.
Right. we'll come back in like 2 years and be
Screw it.
like,
Howard
"Oh,
the Duck.
you were
They're
right."
gonna do a Howard the Duck movie.
I
Mark
would
my
love a
words.
Howard
They're
the
gonna
Duck
do a new
movie.
Howard the Duck.
That'd be such a ballsy move. I'd love if they did that.
I know. I would respect the hell out of them for that one.
All right, my theories. I'm gonna say July. Shang-Chi 2.
Oh,
throw it out there.
You're better at this than I am.
I've also had a little bit of time to think about it. Like I've been thinking about it throughout the week. Shang-Chi 2 is what I'd say, and honestly,
Yeah.
November I think would be a great time for X-Men.
I do too, especially because that's when my birthday is.
Oh hell yeah! And and also just like I feel like that's such a fun way to start the new universe. Like kind of obviously.
Yeah,
Shang-Chi.
whatever they're doing, X-Men's gonna be hype. People are excited for that. People
Right.
love 97. If they can, and that's been them trying to prove themselves that they can do X-Men. Yeah. So once the new movie comes out, I'm sure people are gonna see it, and
that's
I will
also,
be there day one.
I think there's also such a good way to keep the momentum after Secret Wars. I think
Yeah,
that's
for
be
sure.
very important because they struggle with that with Endgame, where it's like,
Yeah,
it's Black Panther or I'm sorry, it's Black Widow, and it's like, oh, okay, like we're just looking at the past. Like
that's why it was smart of them to put Spider-Man right after it.
Yeah,
like because that was going to be another big one, and then they kind of did less exciting ones. Black Widow should have just had a movie earlier, honestly.
I fully agree. I couldn't agree less, actually.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh yes, I could not agree more. Okay, so 2028, also complete wild cards.
Obviously, I already know these ones.
Oh,
these are Spider-Ham 1, 2, and 3, obviously.
Oh, let's go! I'm ready for it.
Yeah. On a serious note, I don't know. Let me think. I gotta think of all the franchises they have open and the ones that they can start.
Yeah.
Because this is so far off in the future, but then it's also so close. Because like,
they gotta start filming.
Feels weird.
Yeah.
In 2 years, we're getting a new Avengers. It feels crazy.
Yeah.
Let's think. If they haven't done X-Men by now, it would be in this year. Yeah. I'm sure of it. I am. Hulk. That's a good idea. That would be one I would like. If they haven't done it before, then that would be a good time. Actually, I kind of have a feeling they're never going to do a Hulk, but we're going to have to see. They got to play nice with Universal.
Yeah.
Let's think. I'm trying. It's hard to think of this because like there's so much they could do, especially because like we have no idea what the landscape's going to be like post Secret Wars.
Right. All right, I'm gonna throw out a couple.
Yeah, throw out a couple. That'll be good. That'll get the juices flowing.
I think Young Avengers is one for sure.
Right. Yeah.
February. I think November. We already kind of talked about this. I kind of brought this up already. I think it's something with Blade, perhaps. I think that's so. If that's a Midnight Suns movie, Blade officially.
Yeah, because there's no way it's making November 7th of next year. Yeah. All right, they already delayed indefinitely. I'm slow today.
And then May is just a wild card. That could be literally whatever.
That could be anything. That's like right before the summer. So they're probably gonna want something big there. Yeah.
Either Black Panther 3 is definitely an option. It could be Hulk. It could be Fantastic Four 2. It could be it could be anything at this point. It could be a character we've never heard of. I mean, there's been rumors of like a Scarlet Witch movie for all these years. Like if it's coming out of that would be movie.
That would probably be a good one to do.
Yeah. It could be anything.
They're gonna finally do the Jimmy Woo movie. I'm so excited.
Oh hell yeah! I would watch that.
Jimmy Woo, Sorcerer Supreme.
that a Wong project they've been trying to get off the ground.
A Wong project would be fun.
Mm-hmm. And listen, like it is crazy. Like I think Marvel's starting to slow down a little bit. But look, there's 3 here, there's 3 here, there's 3 here. That's not even mentioning Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that's not even including the TV shows.
Not even including. There's even more TV. I think there's more TV shows right now announced than movies. So
yeah.
And apparently they're doing more TV shows because they're like rebranding their entire thing, right? Where it's like more serialized television. So it's like and animation stuff, and they announced they're doing another special presentation. Marvel still.
When did they announce that, by the way?
Because it was like right before Comic-Con.
Because I have a theory, and it's a long shot, But I have a feeling they're gonna do another holiday special, and I think it's gonna be Deadpool because of what Ryan Reynolds was posting about. Did you see that with him in the costume and Al was there and they had Christmas decorations?
I did see. Oh, that's such a good shout.
This
That would
is
be
like
really cool.
this is totally like I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it happens, I'm gonna be so excited for it because Deadpool Christmas. It's
Dude, that'd be nice. I love, not to get off track as as we already are, but like
Mhm.
I love they've been doing like a holiday thing every single year in some way. Like Agatha's been this
Yeah.
year, which has been fun.
Yeah, Halloween, very cool.
Yeah, like we did the Guardians Christmas special, we did Hawkeye, we last
Werewolf
year we
by
did the
Night.
What If, like
There was Werewolf by Night too. That's a good Halloween
Werewolf
one.
by Night. Like there's been holiday stuff almost every year since
Yeah,
Disney
I'm
Plus has
so
launched.
down for it.
Love
Hopefully
that. It's
Deadpool's
very
next.
yeah, it's very Doctor Who, where like each year you can kind of expect like some kind of holiday Christmassy type thing to come out.
Hawkeye was one of my favorites.
It's so much fun. Okay, so much fun.
That one's on DVD now or Blu-ray.
I
I'm
saw
gonna
that and Loki is getting a
and they
DVD
said complete first season, so hopefully that means a season 2 is coming because WandaVision they said it was the whole show.
Right. With that being said, we're gonna be hopping into our villains here. You picked out 4 villains. I also picked out 4 villains to talk about. We're gonna go
I got
back
a 5th one added now because of our conversation.
Oh. Well, maybe that 5th one is also in my 4, so we'll see.
It might be.
All right, we're gonna go back and forth. I have these saved here, and we're gonna go through these. All right, your first pick, and your first pick was probably one of my also favorite villains. So I'm very excited to talk about these. You picked Scar from The Lion King.
Yes, I did.
Give me your thoughts on Scar from The Lion King.
Scar has been one of my favorites from for as long as I can remember, especially because just Lion King has been one of my favorites for as long as I can remember. There's something about his voice that's like really threatening and intimidating, and his design is just perfect. And I love like the origin of his name. Even his name is, I think, Taka, which translates to garbage. And his parents must have hated him. Like, what did he do to deserve that? And then he gets a scar, and all of a sudden his nickname is Scar. Like that's rough.
Yeah, I always loved that concept of like, well, you were born second. Like Mufasa was born seconds before you, so he got the throne, he got the king.
Yep.
You're second place, so you're garbage.
It's a classic little brother Loki sort of situation.
100%. And like it's tough to see what's canon at this point, but like books over the years, it's like Mufasa caused an accident where he got hurt, and that's why he got his scar. Like something that Mufasa did to him has taken over his entire identity over the years. Like you see the hatred, like you
understand it 100%. To a degree.
Yeah, which is why, in concept at least, I am actually very excited for the
prequel thing.
Yeah, because like you watch that trailer and you're like, actually, this seems more like a Scar movie than a Mufasa movie. And like I kind of think that's even funny. Like if that is the case, I think that's even more funny that Mufasa gets the name of the movie, because he literally takes the film away from him, even if it is a movie about Scar, which I think is funny.
If it's done well, it could remind me of Transformers 1, where it's like the tragic falling out between these two quote unquote brothers in the Transformers, actual brothers in Lion King. Right. So that could actually be interesting. I just wish it was 2D animated.
I could not agree more. I 100% agree. I would be so much more excited if they were, or even some kind of like CG something like.
Yeah, just not the hyper realism. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it looks better than the first one did.
It at least looks more expressive. Yeah.
Yeah. That's I couldn't agree more. But yeah, no, I like Scar is probably my favorite movie villain. If I'm gonna be honest, I think
he's really good.
Yeah, I think it's so fun that like Scar wins. Like Scar,
straight up for like the longest time, the majority of the movie, Simba's out there because Scar won, killed his brother, took the kingdom. Made it worse, but that's all details. Like that's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's such a fun villain to watch. I think Be Prepared is one of the best. Disney
that song gets in my head all the time. It's so good.
Oh man, I was the not to keep harping on like the live action one, but the like live action Be Prepared disappointed me so much. I was like, it wasn't really a song. It was just like a chant.
Just kind of speaking it. But like in the original, it's a banger. It's a good song.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. Fantastic villain.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up here, I wasn't. Listen, I kind of feel bad for choosing this one because he's not a great guy, but I love Jafar.
Jafar, I thought about picking Jafar. I really did.
I forgot to put it on actually, but like I love Jafar. I have like a whole.
Oh,
Jafar
that's so cool.
hat.
That's
and
so
like,
cool.
I always feel I'm gonna put it on. Why not?
Hell yeah.
I always feel.
There you go.
I always feel weird because I wore it the last couple Halloweens, and it's like I love this guy. I think he's cool. Terrible person.
Oh, absolutely horrible.
Horrendous.
That's what makes him a good villain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'd argue one of the worst Disney villains out there, just in terms of his actions, how he treats Jasmine.
I hate that
scene. It ages even worse once you realize the age of certain characters. Is
because isn't she supposed to be like 16?
She's 16,
and he's like in his like what 50s.
Yeah.
As the Sultan said, you're so old.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think like he's just so cool though. Like I think just like his presence on screen, the way he uses his powers, the way they kind of portray him. Like I've always loved the idea of like if I could make anything for Disney, I'd love to make like a Jafar prequel show. Because I think it would be really fascinating to see, especially what they established in like the live action continuity of like he was also a street rat. Like he came from nothing, just like Aladdin. And
you see how he got to where he is now at the beginning of the first one.
I think that'd be so fascinating. Where did he
that
get
could be an interesting story.
Where did he get his staff? Where did he get Iago? Where did he get his experience? How did he come from a street rat to someone who's working for the Sultan, the most
like
powerful...
the second in command, pretty much.
Yeah, fascinating journey. I'd love if we could somehow like explore that in some kind of way. Just over the years,
it's just crazy how he would come from nothing, but still like just be so hell bent on getting more power. Like not grateful for what he has at all. He needs more. He's such a selfish person, and I love that because that's such an entertaining villain.
Absolutely, and it's this idea that like, well, I don't want to have nothing again. Like I have something now, and I'm going to continue to climb the ladders and become the top, and that like forever crave of power and riches. I think is so interesting.
Yeah.
He's. I think he's a really fun villain. I don't know. It's interesting with some of these older ones because I feel like. And I want to get back to this at some point. It seems like they're trying a little bit with some of their newer movies, but like, Disney they were so unapologetically villains that I think was interesting. Like they towed that line very well of being interesting characters, and
but just like straight up evil
from the very start. Like there's now we're in this era of like
twist villains.
It's interesting because for many years we were doing the Hans, the King Candy, the Big Hero 6 villain. I don't remember their name.
King Candy, that was one I was thinking of too. I like that one. Really,
that's
good.
Probably the best example of like the twist villain.
That's the best twist villain. Yeah,
so good. And now we're doing like for a while we were doing like not actually villains at all, just like the villain is the trauma we've dealt with in the last couple.
Yeah, like with Encanto.
Encanto, Strange Worlds, right? Like that one. A couple others.
Didn't see that one.
Ooh, okay, it's not that good. It's kind of
my family saw it and they said it was just okay, and maybe I'll check it out sometime if I'm bored, but we'll see.
It's not horrible, but it's not like great either. But like that's been the trend, and it did feel like Wish was trying to get back to that a little bit. I didn't like Wish that much, but like
it was
like,
all right. I at least appreciated them having an upfront villain.
Yeah, but and I do wonder like. And I guess it is kind of come back because they did that with Wish, and Moana 2's having that as well, where it's just like
that's true,
straight up bad villain, like a bad witch or whatever. So I'll be curious kind of how they do that.
I hope we can get back to that because that's how we got some of the most iconic villains that we all know and love. Yeah, we love to hate.
Absolutely. Alrighty, our next pick here. Your next pick is Dr. Doofenshmirtz, which absolutely right up my wheelhouse. I did like last year's villain episode. I also included Dr. D in my line.
Oh yeah,
he is such
I'm glad he counts. I was a little because like he's probably my favorite Disney villain. he's just so entertaining, and
Yeah.
like he's the funniest part is that he's not really evil. He
No.
just wants to be evil, but he's like you could see he clearly cares about Perry the Platypus as like a friend, and he's just so entertaining to watch. He's my favorite. I was him for Halloween like 2 years ago.
Oh, hell yeah! That's so
Yeah, I
cool.
had I even had a little Perry plush all tied up, and I brought him around.
Absolutely love that. No, yeah, I mean, he's my favorite Phineas and Ferb villain easily. I think he's such a fun, charismatic character. He's very tragic. A very
Oh yeah,
tragic.
no, like I don't think anybody has a more tragic backstory than he does, because he's got like 60 backstories at least, and we're
Yeah,
gonna
his
hear more soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like his
So
parents didn't
excited
show
for
up
the
to his
new
own
show.
birth. Like,
I know, like
what?
who does that to a person?
It's
He then
so
was
good.
raised by ocelots, making him legally an ocelot.
Making him a gnome and all these crazy things. Yeah, no, it's so good. Like, he has such a fun personality. I think he
Yeah.
makes that show. Are you excited for the new round of episodes?
Absolutely. That show is like was one of my favorite shows growing up. I'm
Yeah.
so excited to see more of it. That's next year, I believe, and I will be watching every episode as soon as I can because I love that show and I love that character, and I can't wait to see him do more evil.
I am very excited. I was a little nervous at first, you know, like
Yeah.
I always said, like, if you bring him back, I want, you know, a slightly different status quo, especially what we did with Doof and like Milo Murphy and stuff like that. Like you know, you kind of were changing him up a little bit. Same with Candace, where I'm like, I kind of want a little different with her as well. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do because it's gonna take place like a year later. It's the next summer.
Yeah, it's a whole. I hope they change it up a little bit because I don't just want like. I'd still love it if they just do this literally the same thing again. But also, I kind of like the idea of like, okay, evolve it a little bit, change the status quo, do some different things with it. If it was anybody else involved with the show, I wouldn't trust it. But I do think like Dan and Sylvie are so involved. Like everybody,
for sure.
Like.
And all the writers are either original writers or they were fans of the show. So hopefully the fans of the show can like know what makes it work, what would be good for the next season, and just what's going to work now. Because I'm so excited. Because like I should be concerned about bringing back something like this, but then it's also like we're getting new episodes of Phineas and Ferb. I can't wait.
Right. Yeah, like any concern I would have, it's just kind of out the front was like, I don't care. It's like I might have some criticism when it comes out, but it's like it's Phineas and Ferb. Who cares? Again, like Dan Swan, like it seems, you know, I love Dan. I so love how
I follow his TikTok. He's great.
I don't know if I've ever seen a creative so open with the fandom as Dan. Yeah. Just like he's sharing every process of the road. Like obviously,
like I saw like recently a video of him like writing one of the songs for the thing. Like that's like I didn't think that they would be allowed to show that because I know some of the lyrics now for a song that hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah, no, they like show like the animation process. They show the casting process. They show like in the room when he's seeing it for the first time. Like I don't think we've ever seen that for a show before. That's so unbelievably cool.
It's really cool to get like a glimpse behind the door of how that works.
And I'd honestly argue we saw the pre of that too, because I felt like COVID. I don't know if this would be happening right now if it wasn't for COVID. Like I think Dan during COVID posting all these Phineas and Ferb things, prepping us for the new movie. I think that
alive for sure.
Absolutely, and I also think Phineas and Ferb was like destined for like the TikTok like audience of it all.
Yeah.
Like all the songs, all the dances, that's just like curated to the TikTok formula. Like a couple years ago, you had the massive like squirrels in your pants TikTok trend that's going around. Like it's on Jimmy Fallon, it's on all these things. I think it will. I almost think it was ahead of its time. It
absolutely was. The writing was always so good in that show. Like
absolutely.
It holds up really well. I did, when COVID happened, I did a big rewatch of it because like I was at home and there was nothing else to do, and I was like, I like this show, I want to watch it. So that was just like rewatching it. It's crazy how that show works because it's very formulaic, but that's a good thing. I think it works for this show, especially because it's supposed to be about summer, and summer can feel a little formulaic. But the thing is, when you're watching the show, it doesn't even feel formulaic. Because I was watching it and I'm expecting to get tired of the formula at some point where I'll need to take breaks. So I'm like, nope, on the next episode, I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, and it's so genius, not to stick on this
Yeah.
too long, but like
Mhm.
it's so genius because it works because they break the formula. Like it's
Yeah.
special where it's like you know the formula by heart, and then they
Mhm.
break off it. It's like, whoa, that what
It's
they
like,
did
that's
there was
different.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it all works because you know the formula so well, and then you fall in love with these characters, and you
Mhm.
wanna see what they're gonna do. Even in, like, the episodes where it was, like, telling a different story with these characters, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like when The Simpsons would do it sometimes, like, where they're telling, like, Paul Bunyan, but it's Homer
A
Simpson or
parody,
whatever. Yeah, like a parody and like something where it's non-canon and it's
right?
like I was still interested in those episodes because like the way they write these characters is always so entertaining.
Oh, sure. It's like Star
Mhm.
Wars, but it's
Yeah.
like Phineas and
Oh,
Ferb
like the
stuff
one
like
where they
that.
did Excalibur and stuff like that.
Right.
That one I remember liking a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. And it's just like the like bits of like, oh, how are they going to do the formula this episode? Like I think
Mhm.
that's the fun of it. It's like, okay, what invention will it be this way? Okay, what what
And it's always
ride are they
exciting to
going to
see
pull?
how they're gonna get it out of mom's sight at the last second.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, okay, what crazy way are they going to change the trope, on our heads last minute?
I still love the
Um
one where the animation studio gets up and dances away. It got up and danced
dance
away.
away. Yeah. Alrighty, my next pick. This is kind of very similar in the same vein as Jafar.
Mhm.
I do have Ursula.
Ursula,
I
it's a good one,
I love Ursula. She's such a fun villain. I have my
for
little
sure.
Ursula Funko just sitting right up
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Um, it's very similar. Where I just think Ursula's really cool. Like I think she's
Yeah,
a very fun character to watch. Very unapologetically evil.
she's got another really good villain song too.
Poor Unfortunate Souls is
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's
Very
in my head a lot
similarly
too.
very similar to Jafar, I also would love to see like an origin of Ursula.
Yeah,
Like, I obviously there's many different like versions of that. Like they,
mhm,
in the original it's different, and the live action they did in Broadway it's different. But like
mhm,
I always liked the idea of like she was outcast because of her witchcraft. Like she
mhm,
was connected. Sometimes they're siblings with King Triton. Sometimes they're just like
yeah,
a loyal servant or whatever. But like
mhm,
seeing like she was trying to do things her way. She was, experimenting with this like illegal magic, and then she gets, dispelled from the community. And I think like
yeah,
I think Ursula gets a lot of hate now. I think in the current day because it's like, oh, she says all these nasty things about women and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, she does. I also think that's the point. Like, I think
yeah.
she's like, yeah, like yeah, women should be able to speak. Yeah, she says that, but you're not supposed to be rooting for her. Like
Yeah,
what
she's the
she's saying is
villain, like,
wrong. Yeah.
you don't need to agree with the villain, that's kind of the whole opposite of the point.
Right, absolutely, absolutely, and I think she's such a. I love like I think it's such a good decision out of all having all the mermaids, right? Very typical mermaid, and
Yeah.
she's like an octopus.
Yeah, it's such a cool design. It
Yeah,
must have been really difficult to figure out how to animate that, but it was really cool in the end.
I 100% agree. I love like she has so many like niche little things, like
Yeah.
obviously her little tentacles and
Uh-huh.
like Hotsum and Jetsum and her little
Oh,
her
yeah.
little tiny
Mhm.
sidekicks and the different
The little
spells and
shriveled
stuff.
up guys too.
Yeah, the little worms are really
Yeah, that
cool.
part freaked me out when I was a kid when she was turning King Trident into one of those things.
Oh, as a kid, terrified when
Yeah,
she becomes like
terrifying.
the
That's the
like
thing about a lot of the older Disney villains, they were really terrifying.
absolutely when she turns into like the giant kaiju
Yeah,
monster at the end, and when she gets stabbed, like that stabbing thing at when Eric stabs her in the chest,
yeah,
terrifying. I hated that. Like every
absolutely.
time I see it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, I don't even have that much to say about this one because she's
Mhm,
very like very basic villain. She wants to take over
mhm.
the kingdom because
Yeah.
reasons, right? Like there's not
Sometimes
a
you just
lot
like a
there.
villain because 'cause they're cool.
They're a very cool villain. Very cool
Mhm.
villain. All right, your next pick is Syndrome.
Syndrome, this is a favorite of mine because I just recently rewatched The Incredibles on an airplane, and it's just you ever get that kind of movie where you're like, "This is a really good movie," and then you rewatch it and you're like, "Yeah, no, this is even better than I remember it being." That's The Incredibles for me.
Yeah, I. You know what? I don't think I've actually talked about The Incredibles that much on the show. Weirdly
Mm.
enough, I don't know if there's ever been an opportunity. I
Well,
think
there you
Incredibles
go,
is
you
one
got
of
one now.
absolutely. I think Incredibles is one of the greatest movies of all time. I
Absolutely.
like we talk a lot about superhero movies and shows on
Mhm.
on the show. I think Incredibles is easily the best superhero movie of all time.
Yeah, this is in my top 5 favorite superhero movies of all time, and it's not even one of the big two, like Marvel, DC. It's like its own thing, and because you could just like every minute you're watching that movie, you can feel the love and respect for comic books as a medium,
Mhm.
and like the way that they like portray superheroes and like the golden age, just like the way that whole scene and that whole bit is stylized, just really feels like old school comic books, and I love it. And then this villain is just such an sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, it's fine.
Just this villain, he was like, I think of all the ones I put on my list, he's like the most complex, and I really like that about him because like, I just the super fan turned just massive villain is just he's such an interesting character to me. I can't even put it into words the right way, but he's just such a fascinating character to me.
I think he is the perfect balance of unapologetically evil and complex. It feels like sometimes, like we talked about Jafar and Ursula, where they're not super complex villains. They want to take over the world or whatever. But I feel like this is like very stereotypical. Like he's the villain. There's no redeeming qualities about this guy. He's killed thousands of superheroes. He's trying to kill children.
He literally tries to take their baby at the end. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, right. But also, it is kind of like you see it. We're like, oh. Yeah, that does sting. Like, yeah, you've been rejected by the person you looked up to most. That stings. Does that give you the right to become a mass murderer? No,
absolutely not. But
clearly, a sick individual clearly did not have a good home life, you know. But I again, just like Scar, I think he's one of the greatest villains of all time. If I'm
absolutely.
I quote Syndrome a lot, not in the same context, but I
obviously
very similar, different context, but it's just like I love the line where it's like, if everybody's a super, if
everyone's super, then no one will be.
No one is, and that applies to so many things. With just this idea where it's like, well, if everything's one thing, then that thing is no longer special, and I think that's one of the most unique villain ideas forever. It's like they're defeating them by making them obsolete is brilliant. Like that's such a cool idea. I love that.
Something I love about the movie is like something I only noticed like somewhat recently. Dash says the same thing basically at the beginning of the movie. In the car scene when Helen is driving him back home from school and they're talking about going out to sports, Dash like says that he's special or whatever. Helen says everyone's special, and then he says that's just another way of saying no one is. Ooh. So I think that's really interesting that like even like one of the heroes in the movie has that same sort of belief, which is something that a lot of people thought they were going to touch on in Incredibles 2. They didn't, but that could be an interesting arc for Dash if they do it. They did announce in Incredibles 3, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So if they wanted to do something with that, that could be an interesting place to take it if they do a time skip, because he's not going to be 10 years old and a supervillain. Unless they wanted to, that could be kind of cool.
That could be. Yeah, no, and I also I guess it's just a bigger thing of just the movie as a whole, but I love, I think Incredibles is the biggest example of a movie made for children not being made for children. Like, to me, there's nothing about this movie that is a children's movie.
Yeah, it's very adult when you really like look at it. Like it's so mature.
It is so unbelievably dark. Like, you know.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Even in the first half, it's themes about like family trauma and like cheating and stuff like that. And then the back half is like that scene in the plane where like they are getting shot down. She thinks the kids are gonna die. Incredible hears his children be murdered. Like, that genuinely
like that's so dark. And then even like the ending, the way they defeat Syndrome, he gets sucked into a plane jet engine because of his cape. Insane. There's other stuff too. I forgot what I was gonna say.
He also has like one of the biggest body counts. Like there's that scene where like Mr. Incredibles is in, it's like terminated.
Yeah, all the people on the screen. Yeah, he
hundreds of heroes.
So many people. Like
I do wonder how far he would make it in like a Marvel or DC world. Like how far through the roster of heroes would he make it until someone got him?
I don't know, because he's got no powers, but he's got like this crazy tech.
Yeah.
And he's got like he's a really cool villain, and he's a really
Mhm.
complex villain. He's got some of my favorite lines, both serious and unserious. Like he's also hilarious. I don't know if
Yeah.
people like, because like his fanboy nature is like such an interesting part of him. Like I love the line where he's like, "You married Elastigirl and got busy." That part never fails to make me laugh.
You caught me monologuing.
Like,
You
you
sly
sly
dog.
dog.
So,
Come on, you gotta admit this is cool.
yeah. Oh, such a quotable character. He's
Yeah.
so good.
Such a good villain. He's probably the most entertaining character in the movie. And that's
Yeah.
something you want from your villain, because you have to spend a lot of time with your villain in order to make it work. And the fact that he's set up at the beginning as the fan, like, that's just like, it's such a good setup and payoff.
Mhm.
And that Bob remembers him too. That's an underrated aspect, I think, that Bob actually remembers him. Because a lot of the times in that sort of a thing, it would be kind of cliche to have it so he doesn't even remember the super fan. But
Right.
Bob actually remembers this guy. Probably because it happened on his wedding day. But
His wedding night.
still,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, probably thinking about that a lot, where it's like, well, he's like that kid that almost made me miss my own wedding kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
So, absolutely, yeah. No, I think Incredibles is a masterpiece. I think
Absolutely.
he might be my favorite villain on the. It's this and Scar always kind of go back and forth. As
Yeah,
my favorite,
him and
but,
Scar
like,
are both really good.
very good.
For sure.
All right, my next pick, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this one was a little bit inspired by your pick.
Oh yeah.
That is Bill Cipher.
Yeah, that's the one that we talked about at the beginning, and I was like, I want to write that down. I love Bill Cipher.
Yeah, I was very inspired because he wasn't at the top of my frontal, but like when you said Doof, I was like, oh, okay, let me pick someone out of the box a little bit.
Yeah.
And Bill is such an incredibly
so good.
I
gotta read his book sometime. My brother has it. I'll steal it from him. He already let me.
Literally just yesterday I went and purchased the book, and it has it has like the coolest looking cover.
Yeah. Logan, my brother, he got the one from Barnes and Noble, so it's got the yellow one, and I really like the look of that. It's got some extra pages apparently. So
oh, sick.
That's
awesome. Yeah, I think possibly one of the creepiest villains in like recent memory.
There's some stuff in that show that I can't believe they got away with. When he rearranges all the functions of the holes in that guy's face, like
that whole final arc is crazy. Like
so
the things they got away
weird.
With. Yeah, I always really respect Alex Hirsch's push against the machine that was Disney, where it's just like I don't know if you've seen a really good video where he's like, he's sharing all the things that they told him over the years he couldn't do or he couldn't get away with.
I saw the thing where he was not allowed to put on a flyer bottles will be spun at for a party, and it's like that's not even that vulgar. But then he said something like on the eventual thing it said not Disney approved or whatever, like not board approved, and I thought that was funny.
And all like it is strange kind of because it's like all these things they wouldn't let him say that are very innocent, very nonchalant, and then you'll just have someone's body be rearranged from the inside out or whatever. Or these grotesque things that Bill would do to people. It's I
and the way he did it was so nonchalant. I love the way that Alex Hirsch voices Bill, like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna rearrange all the functions of the holes in your face, and he just snaps his fingers and it's done. It's like
absolutely
love that character.
He's such a I don't know if Disney's ever had this like god like villain before, like Bill Cipher. Like he's a villain that I remember before even watching Gravity Falls, before really diving in. I knew about Bill, like his. Everyone was talking about Bill. He was everywhere. He was on all the merchandise. He was on all the backpacks, all the things. I'd have friends would have his profile picture on their like Facebook pages or whatever over the years. And the slow mystery kind of getting into Bill throughout season one. Like season one is more of like a mystery. There's little hints here and there. You have the codes over the years where I didn't solve myself, but like
I got into it a little late, unfortunately. But I got to watch Weird Baguette live, so that was cool. And then the whole scavenger hunt at the end was crazy. I've seen like so many video essays about that, about how it all worked, and it was really cool to listen to.
Absolutely, having that must have been such a cool experience for those.
So much fun, probably. I wish I could have done it.
like a one final adventure for those fans that kind of
one last mystery.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so unbelievably good. Again, Alex Hirsch does a fantastic job voicing this guy. He's terrifying,
Absolutely.
he's scary.
Arguably the evilest Disney villain, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
no.
like, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, probably most powerful we've ever seen.
Oh, definitely most powerful.
And I think that's what makes him so terrifying. It's like, not only can you not really defeat him, he's coming back. Like, he keeps every time you get, it's like, I'll be back. Like, if you do like the backwards thing, it's like, I'll be back someday, or whatever his little.
I'm not even fully convinced he's fictional. I think he's just possessed Alex Hirsch.
Absolutely. No, like, yeah, it's so good. Like the like slow burn of it all. I love the like. I don't know if you've ever like done like the backward message thing. I think it's hilarious when like
have,
like,
I've seen some of the reverse things. He's like, he spells out axolotl and he's like, my time has come to burn. I invoke the ancient power that I may return.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. I love the one with like Gideon though. I think it's the best.
Oh yeah, when he goes backwards message, backwards message, backwards message, backwards message. It's so funny.
It's like such a secret. I don't know, like a little tiny Easter egg for anyone who's putting in that work. Anyone that's like, okay, what is it if we reverse the audio or whatever?
What does it sound like? Yeah, it's so funny. I love the bit they do in one of the episodes where they have the record from Robbie's song that he made that to convince Wendy to fall for him, and they play it backwards, and it sounds nothing like the forwards version of the song. Like forwards is like a cheesy romance song. Play it backwards, it's just, you are under my control. I will. You will listen to the song, and you will. Like, it sounds nothing like a song. Even it's so funny.
Oh God. Yeah, I am curious if like. I do think the show will come back at some point. I do think
I have a feeling they've been bringing back too many things recently, like with the book and then the website and all that stuff. That was fun.
I honestly thought they were going to announce it at a
D23. I thought the same thing. I was so convinced that like, okay, the website's going to end at around the time D23 starts. So like, they got to do something, right?
Yeah, because the whole week prior they had, or the first couple weeks prior, like they had the book come out. They had the website. They also were posting a bunch of like Gravity Falls stuff on the like their YouTube thing. There was like like lo-fi beats. I was like, are there secrets in the?
It's like, there's got to be something.
There, like, even when the book came out on Disney Plus, they had like little Bill ciphers on Disney Plus, like in Disney movies, like in
I saw that. I could never find that myself. Like I kept checking for it, so I don't know if that was fake or if that was real. But like so many people were talking about it.
Yeah, that's such a small little detail. I have to imagine it's happening at some point. It seems like
it feels inevitable at this point with how popular the show is, especially like even like outside of the book. Like I don't know if you've seen it going around, but Grunkle Stunkle wins the Funkle Bunkle has been going around.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, it's an edit of Grunkle Stan wins the football ball. He goes, Grunkle Stunkle wins the Funkle Bunkle. It's really funny. I'll send it to you at some point because it's really good.
It's really funny. I am just curious though, like what you do with a new show, like what do you do? Obviously, you bring back Bill, I assume. Like
honestly, I do a time skip. I would skip a couple summers.
Yeah. I mean, I would even love like they wanted to do that Grunkle Stan and Stanley spinoff.
Stanford, that would be cool.
I love that. Like they said no back then because Disney was like, oh, like kids only want to see shows about children. I was like, no, give me.
I want to see the old men.
Yes,
two old men on a boat fighting whales or whatever. That sounds cool.
And also, I hope honestly, I do. If it happens, I hope it's a Disney Plus thing because I think they would have much better luck not having to like shut him down as much. Like you can make it not an adult show. I don't want it to be an adult show, but
no, it's still got to be at least a little appealing to kids. But it's like, but aim it more at the fans who grew up with it and have it like be family friendly, but not family orientated. Yeah,
I would love, just like no restrictions. Like I want Alex Hirsch to have full control over the show he's making. Not everything he does be like, actually. Don't do this and don't do this.
Yeah.
Like I want Alex Hirsch to have full control of what
just let him make it whatever he wants to make it.
Diamond Spider. Hello, Diamond Spider
Hi, Logan.
Productions. How's it going? Hello. We had you on about a year ago. It's great to see you. Hi, off topic from Gravity Falls, but did you talk about the topic earlier? Did you see that they announced a release date for Spider-Man 4? An official release date?
A release date? What? Wait, yeah, there it is. July 24th, 2026.
Oh shit! Hold on, I'm gonna. Pull
my god!
Real quickly. Breaking news? We got breaking news up in here.
Yeah, on Spider-Man news on Twitter. It says Spider-Man 4 officially releases on July 24th, 2026.
Okay, hold on. I'm
That's crazy.
Really quickly. Let me shut my DMs. Hold on.
Oh my god. Yeah, discussing film. It's the real discussing film also saying it. And I forgot they got the director from Shang-Chi.
Yeah. All right, Spider-Man 4 will release July 24th, 2026. They're gonna get that out fast then.
Yeah,
because they're filming in 25 summer
next
25.
Summer, so they got a year. They're gonna start filming summer 2025, so then they have a year to get it done. Hopefully, they can pay their VFX workers enough for that. I wonder who the villain's gonna be, because everybody's saying it's gonna be Null, but after watching Venom, I kind of don't think so. But that's just me kind of coping.
Okay, wait. So that's July 26th. Really quickly, I want to pull up that schedule just really quickly again.
Oh yeah, is that on the date?
I want to see, because I thought there was a July date for 26. 2020.
Nope, May.
Oh shit!
It's gonna come out right after Avengers. Okay, so it might be taking place on Battleworld then.
It's gonna be that. Yeah, it's gonna be that Battle War that was rumored. I honestly bet that.
Cool.
I would not bet if one of those release dates goes away. Like if they get rid of that February date.
Yeah, or maybe they get rid of the November date and push that one to be February next year before Avengers. Then have 4 movies in the year, but whatever. They could push other things back, I'm sure.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like February Doctor Strange. It's like Doctor Strange,
February
Avengers,
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. Avengers, then Spider-Man. That would make so much sense, and that would actually be crazy.
That's actually a fantastic lineup. That's a crazy lineup.
That would be a crazy year. What the heck?
And also, like, I don't like it, obviously, but like, you're obviously going to have those Spider-Man connections with Doomsday and stuff like that. Like, it makes sense.
I hope they focus more on Rhodey for that, honestly.
Oh,
I Rhodey's a stronger connection there.
I do too, but like I just know them too well at this point. Like I know the.
I saw somebody talking about that, saying that they want. So I hope this is what they go with. Somebody had said they think that it would be cool if when Peter sees Robert Downey Jr.'s face, he immediately punches him, not because he hates Tony Stark, but just because he's not gonna fall for these sort of things anymore. Because I think that would be cool. Yeah, like he said to Mysterio, "You can't trick me anymore." So like if he sees that, like instead of being like Mr. Stark and crying or whatever, like he just decks him in the face. He's like, I don't trust you. I don't trust this. He's dead.
That's crazy. Diamond Spider says, I'd like it if they did it as a prequel, showing how Spider-Man got to where he was when we meet.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
Also,
for sure.
I know this is a hot take, but I hope they don't do the symbiote yet. Because because if like they could actually do the comic book origin for the symbiote this time with him because that happens in Secret Wars in the comics, I believe, the first Secret Wars. So if they just keep him without the symbiote for his first solo movie or fourth solo movie, and keep him without the symbiote in all of Doomsday, and then in Secret Wars he could get the symbiote, and then they could do that arc. Plus, I want as many movies in that red and blue suit as I can get.
Yeah, I really hope they don't trash that suit. I want that suit.
I know.
I want that to be his main suit.
So good. There's only one thing I would change about that suit, and it's just the spider on the back, because I like the round spider on the back. But it looks good either way. So like, as long as they keep that shade of blue and the metallic texture to it, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about Bill. He's great. He's fantastic.
He's one of my absolute favorite villains of all time. Just so entertaining, so evil, so funny. Like, he's got it all.
Absolutely. Final two. We have 2 more here.
All right.
Actually, I want to answer Dino things right here first before I move on. Holland's gonna have 2 movies in theaters at once that summer, because apparently that new Nolan movie. That is true. I mean, and if he's in Doomsday, if he's on Doomsday, that'd be
That's so much Tom Holland.
He's gonna be rolling in that cash.
And I'm probably gonna see all 3 of them. So
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, speaking of terrifying villains, your next, I think this is actually your final pick, and that is Randall from Monsters
Randall.
Inc.
I had to put somebody from Monsters Inc. That franchise. Mike Wazowski's my favorite
Okay.
Pixar character, and Randall I thought was really interesting because he's like kind of the main villain of the movie, but also he's just a lackey for Waternoose. So I think that's like a really interesting place for him, especially with the things we learn about him in Monsters University, because that is probably my favorite prequel movie ever, unless you count Transformers 1, because it's
Right.
that one's weird because it's not really it's like a prequel, but it's not a prequel because there's nothing that comes after it. Anyway, but yeah, Randall is just it's a really interesting character to me, and he's scary because he's a literal monster. If that thing showed up out of my closet, I would freak out.
I was terrified of this guy as a kid. I think I actually think Monsters Inc. is inherently very scary for young children. Like,
yeah, especially that part where Sully's like roaring at everybody, like Boo cries.
Yeah, because like as a concept, like Monsters Inc. is kind of canon to our world.
Yeah,
right?
because like kids think they see monsters coming out of their closets sometimes, like, and that's such a like it's really funny, like the juxtaposition of like the mundane life of them like just clocking into work to scare children.
No, absolutely. Like there's like to me it is terrifying because like these monsters could just appear. Like they could come out of any doorway. Welcome to my room. I think Randall does that to an extreme because you don't know he's there.
He's invisible.
He turned invisible. A monster could have just come in. He could have came into my room, not see me, slit my throat or whatever. Yeah, you know, like as a kid, and like that scared me. Also, Waternoose is also a very terrifying villain.
He's freaky. He's got a lot of eyes, a lot of legs. And
yeah,
I hate
like
spiders. So
that scene when he's like waddling down the hallway chasing Sully,
and he goes on the wall a little bit. That's always so cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love the part where Randall is beating up Sully while he's invisible, and Mike shows up, and he's like, "Okay, if you're not gonna take this seriously," and he throws the thing at him. It's like, "Oh, that's Randall." Oh.
It's so good. I love his design. Like I think he has such a fun to design. Like I think the purple lizard snaky type creatures are really cool.
And all his arms are kind of freaky. And
I also think his motive works to an extent. Like I think like
tired of being the second best.
Right.
A lot of these villains, that's kind of a theme with a lot of the villains where they're like tired of being second to somebody else, like Scar, Ursula kind of. What was the other one I was thinking of? We talked about Bill Cipher, that's not one of those.
Kind of Syndrome?
Syndrome, yeah, kind of. Because he's tired of not being a superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he's great. Did you watch the new Monsters at Work season? I
did, yeah. I was interested to see him back. I think I started a little late, so I already had it spoiled, but it was still really cool because like he's one of my favorite Pixar villains. Pixar doesn't actually have that many villains, but he's one of my favorites, and I was excited to see him back, even if it was like for like a small little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they have a decent amount, I guess. Like what they got Rando, they got Syndrome, they got Stinky Pete.
They got
Sid,
what's his name? The guy from Charles Muntz. That was who I was thinking.
Charles Muntz.
Oh, and the guy from Ratatouille. I love that guy. The chef guy. I forgot his name.
Yeah. The giant cricket from Bug's Life. I haven't seen Bug's Life.
Oh yeah, Hopper.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while either, actually. Yeah, okay, they have more villains than I remember because there's also Lotso. Yeah, okay, I take that back. There's a lot of Pixar villains.
Very different kind of villains than Disney, though. Like I feel like
for sure.
They definitely lean more into like the twist villain, I guess, than Disney does, or at least in that era. Like I think they were kind of ahead of the time with the twist.
Yeah,
villains.
Lotso was a bit of a twist villain.
Lotso, Charles Muntz.
Yeah.
Stinky Pete was probably one of the first ones. Actually.
That was a good one. I actually really like Stinky Pete.
I agree.
It's funny to call him Stinky Pete. It's not that intimidating of a name.
No. All right, and my final one I chose. I guess this one's a little bit unfair because I guess one of these characters aren't really a villain in my mind, but the other one is, but I think they exist as a duo. Why I love them so much. and that's Yzma
Yes,
and Kronk.
I was gonna put them on my list because Kronk is my favorite one of my favorite Disney characters ever. That movie is so good.
Yeah, Kronk might be my favorite Disney character. I would die for that guy. I love him so much.
He's the best.
And he's classified as a villain, but in my mind, he's erased of all his sins.
Oh, absolutely. He's too wholesome to be a villain.
Yeah, and I can totally convince that he's just being used and manipulated by the system that's in place.
He's not exactly the brightest bulb.
No. And
but we love him anyway.
He comes to the light in the sequel. If anybody watched the
that's Kronk's New Groove, right?
Kronk's New Groove,
yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
It's not that good, but it's nice.
Yeah, I've kind of just stuck with the original. Whenever I want to watch that movie, I just watch that one.
No, I mean I love Emperor's New Groove. I think it's I genuinely think it's one of the funniest movies of all time.
It's really good.
Just the countless quotes I can give for Kronk, where it's like
the poison for Cusco, the poison's chosen specifically to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Love. Probably my favorite bit is like they're like running. They're going through the map and the montage.
Yeah.
And they somehow get there before. It's like, how did you get here? It's like actually, it's wait, Kronk. How did we get there? It's like, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's so good.
I love the part where they're in the kitchen and like Kronk's trying to make all the food, and then the Yzma and Cusco keep coming in and changing up their orders, and like they don't see each other, and like
I love the like I don't even like your spinach puffs. Not the spinach puffs.
That's not cool. I also love no, he's got a point.
Kronk might be the most quotable character of all time, to be honest.
He is.
Like
he's
I
so
just have a whole like on my phone, just a bunch of Kronk videos on my phone for when I need them or whatever. But I do think them as a duo work very well for me. Just like the very nefarious Yzma just trying to get her thing done, and Kronk's just like, "Hey man, I'm just here. I'm just chilling."
Yeah.
Like I think the like roller coaster scene when she's just like this, and he's like, "Ah!" Like it's such a great balance with those two characters. I think like either one of these characters can be too much if in overdoses, and I think they balance each other out in a perfect way.
They're a good comedic duo.
Pull the other Kronk. Wrong lever. Like,
why do we even have that lever?
Oh, it's so unbelievably good. Yeah, I could talk about Kronk forever. I love
such
that,
a good character, good movie.
Man, now I want to rewatch the whole movie. I might do
too.
That after.
Yeah, I might pull that up when we're done.
But yeah, no. I mean, is there any Disney villains that we haven't talked about that you would like to bring up now that we're kind of at the end here?
One I think is like just kind of crazy that they got away with it was Cruella de Vil, because like her whole motivation is she wants to skin puppies. Like that is an insane thing to put in a kids movie. That's the way you make somebody really evil, but like it's just I can't believe they put that in a movie intended for children.
Yeah. And like it's implied that she does do that. Like
she does. She's got a fur coat on the whole time.
She's done that. Absolutely.
She's done it. It's like,
absolutely.
It's crazy.
And that's a character I think has so many good like adaptations of said character. Like I loved the 2021 Cruella movie.
Yeah, I gotta watch that one still.
It's weirdly good. Then... Like I didn't think it was going to be that good. I was like, I'm not sure how that's going to work. And I was like, all right, they made that work. Like I loved her in Once. I loved her in like the like live action movie they did but like the 1990.
Oh yeah.
Movie. Like she was really good as well. So many villains I could choose. I already talked about Captain Hook at the front. I think Captain Hook is great.
Captain Hook's a good one.
I love Clayton from Tarzan. I think Clayton's
a fantastic villain. Since I've seen that one. I like what's his name? Or I had it. Yeah, Hades from Hercules. Hades is another fun one.
Yeah. He has so many quotes too that you can kind of pull out. Let's get ready to rumble, and he just shoots his two hands up.
You're wearing his merchandise.
Yeah, so many great ones. I could make I could do a whole other episode if I wanted to just on other Disney villains.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great ones over the years. Lotso, we didn't mention. I think Lotso is a fantastic.
Lotso, I loved. Yeah, he was interesting. I still like when I was a kid, when I first watched that movie, and they help him out of the thing so he can hit the button, and he just doesn't do it. It was crazy to me. Like, I was like, how could you? They helped you out.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Zurg. I also like Zurg. He's not really the main antagonist because that's kind of the that's Stinky Pete's movie. But I just love the bit where where he finds out he's his father, and then they play catch, and it's like, go logs, son.
I was really disappointed what they did with Zurg and
oh, absolutely, that was like
Lightyear.
Yeah, I was watching that. I'm like, I see the older looking Buzz Lightyear. I'm like, oh, good. So he's still his father. And he's like, Dad? And he's like, no, I'm not your dad. I'm like, damn, what? No. And it didn't make sense that the robots couldn't say Buzz, but they could say Zurg. Like, Buzz is like one of the few things a robot should be able to say. Like, beep, boop, and buzz. That's what robots say.
Yeah, I think that's the twist villain thing done wrong. Like, I think there's some good ways. Yeah. I think there's some bad ways. That's the a twist for the sake of a twist, where it's like, no, everyone.
King Candy's a good one. Zurg is a bad one. King Candy is one I should have brought up too, because that's a really good one. I really like.
Yeah, King Candy is like, because like it never crosses your mind throughout the whole movie. Like, why wouldn't he be King Candy? Like, yeah. And like they kind of set up the turbo thing because it makes sense in the context of like what they're going through.
The cool thing is you don't expect that to come back. You just think it's just a term for a guy who left the game. Like that's just a story that happened, building lore for the world. And then all of a sudden, Turbo is King Candy, and it's insanely good. Like that one is one you don't see coming, but then when you watch it again, it's so obvious.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, but this was a blast. Thank you so much, Tanner, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Absolutely. Tanner, where can people find you?
So I am on Twitter at Tanner_Slavin, SLAVIN, and then I also have Instagram. I am that Spider-Ham fan, all as one. I made that to enter a contest for a statue I lost. And yeah, that's basically it. I have a YouTube, but I don't remember which one I currently use. So I just kind of upload. I don't upload very often. I just whenever I make something, I sometimes do, but not often. So mainly Instagram and Twitter is where you can find me.
Absolutely. Make sure to do all of those things. Make sure to tune in our Tuesday Darren After Credit stream. We're going to be we're on the Agatha, Penguin, Superman, Lois trip right now. That's been a lot of fun.
Those are good.
What's that?
I said those are good. I like those shows.
Oh yeah, it's been a great time for TV shows. And next Thursday I will be back with it'll be our Venom episode. It'll be Venom the Last Dance is here. I'll try and talk about it. I'm curious to see how much there is to talk about that one. I think that's gonna be interesting. And everybody, thank you so much for watching. Without further ado, I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.